Hi, this is John Barnes, and you're listening to Kop On.
When I think of Diogo Jota, I immediately think of his smile and his celebrations. Then I think of his goals. And I remember his gutsiness and his relentlessness and his passion and his joy for the game and his general sense of positivity. Above all, though, I remember how incredibly intelligent he always seemed. He was always about 4.5 steps ahead of everyone else. When the ball came to him, he was able to weigh up so many variables and decide what to do in a flash, so that by the time the ball came to him, he would just execute this incredibly complex plan that he just sort of instinctively maybe dreamed up. And he would flummox the defenders and leave them on their backsides before they'd even had the chance to think, oh, the ball's coming. Perhaps I should intervene. And there are so many memories of Diogo. And I think in time, in the fullness of time, as they say, we will be a lot more able to just focus on the positives than perhaps we are now, when we're still very disoriented, where we're still very much grieving. But I'm delighted to be joined by quite a few guests, which is great, to talk about today Diogo's goals, all of his goals, and just talk about the player. And we'll talk about whatever. I don't know how this is going to go, or where this is going to go, or how many goals we'll be able to get through, because it's a 20-minute video and we're going to talk about all of them. So it might be over several episodes. I don't know. But I've got Dave from Dave's LFC Chats. I've got Dave Henry. I've got Douglas from the Dugout Football Channel. I've got Fay Greaves here. I've got NIgel Coady. And we're all going to talk about the joy that Diogo gave us through these goals and have a look back at his Liverpool career through his goals. The first goal on this video is when, it shows what a brilliant striker he is. He's getting the ball on the edge of the box. The video on YouTube is a compilation, all Diogo Jota goals for Liverpool compilation. It doesn't actually show any of the build-up. It just shows the moment when Jota gets the ball on the edge of the area, and it's an awkward ball. It's that awkward ball. It's just above the leg. It's hip height football. And it has this delicate, soft touch right on the edge of the area, and a snapshot volley against Arsenal. I believe it may have been on his debut. I'm not sure. It was a COVID season anyway, or just after COVID, so the empty grounds. And he hit the ball, and it looks untidy. It goes against the floor, and it bounces a couple of times. But you can see the Arsenal defenders, they're still reacting to the ball being hip height, and it's already in the back of the net. It's one of those goals that it goes by in an absolute flash. And Dave from Dave's LFC Chats, I just replayed that goal for you in real time, and it really is just a flash. You can only appreciate the technical brilliance of it when you slow it down, because it's that quick, and that's how fast his brain worked, wasn't it?
There's two words I use for Jota: natural finisher. He's probably our most, deadliest finisher when he got a chance. I mean, he was just natural, like Robbie Fowler was, I suppose, back in the day when the ball fell to him. He just hit. He didn't even think. It was just natural in his head just to hit the ball first time type of thing, and usually ended up in the back of the net, for Liverpool, and big goals he scored for us and stuff like that. But as you said, he had a knack of being in the right place at the right time. The famous fox in the box type of thing. That type of thing. He's very good in the air for small player. Very, very good leap on him. Intelligent, smile, always gave 100%, which I think is the biggest thing, is tenacity. Klopp did like players like that, we know, and that's probably why Klopp brought him in from Wolves. But he was always tenacious. He'd be at your ankles. If he did like he'd be like the little, obviously we used to play five-a-side on the roads. There was a fella, he used to be always at your ankles, biting at your ankles like a little Rottweiler, or a little terrier, actually, a little terrier biting at your ankles. That's what he reminded me of. And it's just, and he had that smile, And look, it's very, very sad. I know we're going to spend an hour talking about him and his goals and stuff like that. But I mean, 2 words, natural finisher for me. Just natural finisher. Born goal scorer type of thing. Intelligent. Wasn't supremely blessed with pace or anything like that, but just always found himself in the right positions and in the right place, almost telepathically, actually, where the ball would go. You know, that type of way, magnetic or whatever you want to say. The ball was almost so magnetic to him, and it would always find Jota and usually would end up in the back of the net. But what a player, what a loss. And yeah, natural finisher for me.
Yeah, it's a great answer. It's a great answer. And you're totally right. Fay, Dave mentioned "fox in the box." It was a term coined by Arsene Wenger, of course, back in the day when he ended up signing Franny Jeffers as his fox in the box, which is perhaps not the most advisable one. More of a stuffed fox in a box, Franny Jeffers. But anyway, do you remember how you felt when we signed Diogo, and you know, what can you say about this fox in the box instinct?
Yeah, I remember it well actually, because he joined after we'd won the Prem, because he wasn't a part of the 2020 Premiership winning COVID team, and then he came sort of in the August, didn't he, of that year of 2020. So we just finished that period. And I think he scored a goal on his debut, didn't he? And straight away, God, I remember chatting to some of my Liverpool friends saying, gosh, this guy is going to be something special. You know, because like I said, he scored on his debut and everything. I remember he scored a hat-trick as well in the Atlanta game, because I go to quite a few Champions League games as well, as you know, and he scored a hat-trick. I think we won that one 5-0. But it's just like Dave was saying, he seemed to be in the right place at the right time, but his timing was the thing that was exceptional for me. You know, the crosses coming in, you know, he could have had a blindfold on. He knew exactly where the ball was going to be. The assist that Trent and Robbo had given him from out on the wing, you know, he was always the first to react. And, you know, it's a real shame that if Núñez had his instinct, oh my God, it'd be 150 million. Núñez would be. If he only had the same instinct as Jota, we wouldn't be saying much about anything else. And it's a shame, because I think Jota was quite underrated, actually. I mean, the amount of times he came off the bench as well, you know, we've got to remember he didn't start in a lot of the games. Yes, he did when he was super fit, but he sadly, maybe because he put so much into the game, he got a lot of injuries, and he was probably knocked about a lot in the game because he wasn't a big person, and he had quite a few times out. But when he came off that bench, it was like, you know, you knew something was going to happen, and wow, he's going to be a huge loss to us. He really is, Owen. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Excellent answer as well. Yeah, thank you, Faye. Yeah, I mean, Douglas, the attitude that he had for coming off the bench as well was just ideal. Like, no ego. You know, he joined a team that had Mane, Firmino, and Salah as an attacker. Which shows you, I don't know, it's the measure of the man, isn't it? Because he's humble enough to think, well, I'm not going to necessarily start every game, but he's competitive enough to say, well, I'm going to try and take your place as well, and I'm going to try and score a bag full of goals. And his attitude all through his 5 years at the club was just ideal, Douglas, wasn't it?
It was fantastic. I remember his first sort of signing day. He actually vlogged it himself, because obviously COVID was rife at those times. But he decided to do like an Instagram vlog, and it's probably still on his page. You can probably go over and obviously see it, but he literally vlogged his, like, on his way to do his medical, on his way to obviously do his signing day. But one thing I can say about Jota, he was a real family man. He was a wonderful dad to 3 fabulous kids, a great, you know, husband to obviously Ruta, you know, who's obviously now a widow, which is really, really sad to say, the very, very least. But one thing I will say about Diogo Jota, he was a character. And I think when you see the clips of him, there's one in particular which I remember. I think he he was bringing through like I think it was FIFA 24. He's bringing like big boxes of FIFA 24, and he was like bringing them to the rest of the squad. And I can remember one where I think he brought it to Ibu and Robbo, and I think he said, "Oh look, Robbo's faster than you, Ibu," and I think Robbo burst into laughter, as did obviously Diogo. So he was a real character. But I'll leave my bit by saying this: he is one of the best players I've ever seen header a football. Only 5'10", but anytime you thought he would header a ball, it was destined for the back of the net. He was just that typical striker who always found a way to find the goal. And again, never ever made a moan about obviously not starting many games. You know, he was a real professional right until the very end, and for that I think we need to be remembered of that. And again, signed in 2020, he wore number 20 and he's won number 20, and you know, he won the Premier League, he won the Nations League in 2025, got married, had his whole life ahead of him to obviously be taken in tragic circumstances. It really hit me on Thursday. As a young father, I know that I didn't know what to do. I needed to. I was in the office. I was working. Had to clear my head, and it still feels surreal that we're never ever going to see him ever again.
I think that feeling of surrealness is going to last for a long time, you know, and it'll be different for everybody as well. But it's, you know, the impact might only hit people later, you know, and it will just take, we need to give each other time. Everybody needs to give everybody time. Ian Rush had a good post talking about, I'll try and find it somewhere. Yeah, Ian Rush said, at Liverpool, we have always regarded ourselves as one big family. Now one of our family has gone, so we all have to join together and help one another. The last few days have shown that. And I think that's beautifully phrased. But yeah, going back to when he started at Liverpool, it was 2020. Of course, that season, the 2020-2021 season started late. It started on the 24th of September. With a game against Lincoln City in the League Cup third round or something like that. I don't know. That's the first time after we signed him anyway. I don't quite understand. This is from LFChistory.net. That was his Liverpool debut anyway, the 24th of September. Maybe we signed him. He was out with a knock. I can't remember. I think the season started late. I'm not sure. But anyway, his Liverpool debut was as a 57th minute substitute against Lincoln City on the 24th of September 2020. And it was just 4 days later that he got that goal against Arsenal that we started talking about. And I believe Douglas have said before we started that he scored 7 goals in his first 10 games, which is absolutely incredible. And let's just look at the next goal before I bring in Dave Henry and Nigel. You know, you could see as well, I mean, he scored his first, it was his league debut against Arsenal. He just basically, in a flash, controlled this really awkwardly bouncing ball and whacked it into the goal. And the joy as he celebrates with Fabinho and Milner and Trent and Joe Gomez is just, you know, obvious. His second goal starts on the left wing with Sadio Mane taking on some defenders, swinging in across, and the heading ability that we see, and also the great positioning, is Diogo Jota standing just behind. Is it? I can't recognise the team we're playing against. We're playing against a team in green.
Sheffield United.
There you go. Thank you. I'm glad I'm with some football fans here. Excellent stuff. And yeah, so Diogo nods it in from the middle of the goal, again rising above the Sheffield United defence. Nigel, do you remember how happy you were to see him join Liverpool?
We've signed him for 41 million, Owen. And I was thinking, 41 million, is that a bit much? But I didn't know we were signing a 5'10" box of dynamite. He had his basics, people talking about his head. But if you look at that first goal, the technique is exceptional. It was a really, really good volley. His basic skills, his passing, his running, his shooting, his heading, all a very, very good package. And that's what we had. We had a brilliant package. Diogo Jota was a brilliant package player. He had exceptional. He wasn't the best player at the club, but overall, best finisher. Might have been the best header of the ball because he wasn't big, but you could nearly rely on put the ball into the box, he'll get it. So a brilliant execution of every facet of the game, basically.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the all-round striker, the complete striker in many ways, absolutely. And yeah, Dave Henry. When did you know him when he came in? Had you been watching him at Wolves? Do you remember how you felt when we signed him?
I don't remember watching him specifically on. I do remember he was a good striker. I didn't realize just how good he was until we actually signed him. We saw him in red. I suppose my initial feeling when we signed him, I was glad because we did need at the time that kind of the slaughter, as he was called, the fox in the box. But just to kind of relay what Nige says and kind of add to that, I just think he done the simple things very well, which is very important for a footballer. There was no kind of airs of graces in how he done things. He done the simple things right. He was extremely intelligent on the ball, off the ball, pulling defenders, making space for the likes of Salah and Mane. But yeah, just finding it difficult just to come to terms with the loss of a father and a son and a family man, and it's just terrible. But please God, he'll be remembered, in the best possible way through the likes of this, and people talking about him and his goals and what he brought to the club. More importantly, as a human being, not just as a footballer. But a hell of a striker, strong, quick in the mind. He's going to be severely missed, unfortunately.
He is, and we're gonna be there for each other, as Ian Rush said, one big family sharing in this grief. And of course, we're just the people who got to celebrate him and know him from the outside as well. We're gonna choose, I'm sure of it, Liverpool fans across the world, to give all of our love and support to the people who knew him. Of course, his teammates, for the people who go to the games, they can directly, in person, through supporting the team on the pitch, show the love for Diogo and for all of his teammates and everybody there at Liverpool. And of course, there will be banners, there will be songs, and an outpouring of love for his family, who we cannot possibly imagine, even in the depths of what we're feeling now, are nothing, completely nothing compared to what his immediate family must be feeling. So we're going to choose to be there for them, and we're going to choose to be there for his teammates, who are also his friends, and everybody who knew him. And we're also going to go through all of this pain together and help each other in whatever way, because everybody's different. How you're going to react is different. And whatever it is, it's justified and it's real. But you could see, his second goal came quickly after he signed. Just the joy when he scores the goals. It's something easy to remember. His third goal is when Trent Alexander-Arnold cuts in to the edge of the box, to the corner of the box from the right hand side, and he plays a square 5-meter pass to Xherdan Shaqiri, who gets it on his famous left foot and sort of fakes a shot that confuses one of the defenders in front of him, and instead of shooting, he plays a beautiful pass back to Trent. Trent is onside, and he's made a wonderful run behind the defence. And Diogo, his ghosting. Nigel mentioned his work off the ball, and Dave H mentioned his tremendous intelligence off the ball as well. He's free at the back post. Nigel, you want to come in here?
Yeah. Could you just drop that back for 1 second to the still that you had at the start as Shaqiri was playing the ball, please?
I will try. So Trent, just to finish the goal, just that Trent plays this ball. Is it a low ball across? Yeah, it's a low ball across, and Diogo's at the back post to knock it in with his instep. I'll go back absolutely to that
Just
moment.
an observation.
But who is this against, please?
Midtjylland.
Midtjylland. I mean, forgive me, Sheffield United and Midtjylland fans, all of you listening to this. I didn't quite recognise your club. Sorry. So yeah, Trent passes.
Okay, little bit further. Now there, look at Jota. Just
how would you explain it for the audio listener?
He's already passed the guy. The guy has already lost him. He's facing the goal, and the guy is still facing out towards the ball. He's looking back at the ball, but he's already running in the direction of the goal. He's made the run already. Trent is in the space. The ball has gone between the two defenders and past the other guy who was standing still with his arms out wide. But Jota is already on the centre back's shoulder, waiting for the pullback, and that's what makes the goal. It's exactly what you said. Fox in the box. It's ability to make runs and make space that makes this a simple goal, because Trent has made the run in behind for a ball across, and the defender has lost Diogo. So it's a tip in at the far post.
Yeah, absolutely great. Yeah, absolutely great. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, Shaqiri he's in line with the edge of the D, just sort of next to the D. He's quite a central position. And as he fakes that shot and passes to Trent, it's that classic striker's movement of Diogo just, being still, looking, facing the ball, facing away from the goal, and suddenly darting off the back of the defender, as Nigel was explaining. And that's the one that the defender doesn't react. He doesn't have time. And that's why Diogo has a completely free goal back post for his third goal for the club. And it's a shame that there were no fans back here at this time, Dave, from Dave LFC Chats, isn't it? Because, I mean, he knew by the end, of course, with his song, he knew how much we loved him, and that's an excellent thing. That,
Well, do you know what it is? I have a little saying, and I used to do the odd live stream in the games around as Jota has gotta the lotta.
Yes.
As we've already said, he actually had the whole lot, didn't he? He had everything. I mean, the COVID times were crazy anyway. I mean, it was surrealism. It's surreal doing this podcast on the passing away of Jota, of course, because he was only 28. And of course, we can't forget his brother, Andre Silva, who was 26, his younger brother. And I mean, the family's lost their two sons. I think Andre Silva played in the second division in Portugal. He was a good footballer, professional footballer as well. Two young lads, the lives ahead of them, at their peak, at their best, ready to rock and roll, on the way back over Liverpool's pre-season, actually. And I mean, it is surreal. And if you believe the story, the fact that he actually was on his way over to England, I think from Santander, you'd know more about Spain and ports and stuff, coming over in the car on the ferry to England. And the fact that he had a pulmonary thing, I think it was the injury against Chelsea, if I'm not forgetting, that thing he got in the lung at the time, and it was a little bit of an operation on that, just getting him ready probably for the season. I mean, it is just, a tweak or a quirk of fate that I suppose life throws up these things, guys. I mean, we go back to the day when it happened on Thursday morning when I heard about it. It was one of those days where I was in work, obviously it was early, it was around 9:15, but it was one of those days where it makes you stop and think, it just makes you stop and think and actually think about what the hell is it all about. You know what I mean? It's like the famous, you don't know what's around the corner type of thing. You don't know what the next day holds, or when you wake up what the day is going to bring, that type of thing. And it was one of those days, you're hoping it won't happen, but it does happen every now and again. And I'm just unfortunate. It was a Liverpool player that we all love, of course. He was only 28. Parents lost him, three young kids, only three babies, really. They're only babies, really. His wife and all. It's heartbreaking, and it's just crazy, and it's surreal. As you said, we're going back to COVID times. That was surreal in its own way. And I mean, I don't really know what to say, to be honest. We're sort of off the cuff here, really, aren't we? I mean, it's an unusual situation to be in. I've done a few things about it and a few little live streams, and you don't know really. You can't justify it, or you can't say anything about it. So you're just going along, nothing written down. You know what I mean? You're just reacting to people's questions and stuff, hoping you'll say the right thing as well. You know what I mean? And we're on here just reliving some of the great goals, Jota, and reliving his life, I suppose, as a human being and as a player and as a father and a son and stuff like that. But we won't forget his brother, of course, Andre Silva, 26-year-old as well. I think we need to say that as well, because two lads lost their lives on Thursday as well. But I mean, I don't know much more to say about him other than we're going to miss him. And Liverpool, the club, the fans, the staff are going to miss him. And I have never seen an outpouring as I've seen in the last, 3-4 days. I mean, even the Oasis concert. And we know they're big City fans and they're big football fans together. But the montage he had, I think it was Live Forever, that song. Live Forever, the Oasis song. And he had him. And I've seen other concerts doing it now. And doing the Dembele, what was it, PSG, the striker for PSG, doing the sit down with the
Dembele.
PlayStation or to get the
Kylian
joystick.
Mbappe scored a goal, and
they're all
he
doing
did a
it.
2-0.
Salt Lake City, I think, did something, and I mean, it's just an outpouring. I suppose it's the World Football Family as well. You know, it's the World Football Family getting involved and stuff like that. But I mean, like, it's just unbelievable. And for the two boys, I mean, they'll never walk alone and they'll never be forgotten.
Absolutely. Fay, you wanted to come in there, Fay?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, like Dave was saying, the outpour. For me, the last time an outpour for an athlete like this was Kobe Bryant, because as you know, I'm a basketball fan and I play basketball, coach basketball, and obviously football is my, they're kind of on par, but Kobe Bryant, Lakers, I still support them, and I was supporting them at the time. And that was the other outpour, exactly the same. I mean, I've got family that live in America. They were in mourning for weeks and weeks and weeks. And, you know, because Kobe's was another one, unexpected. It's tragic, you know, when you wake up in the morning and find out that people that you love and people that you support and, you know, look up to have just been taken away without even saying goodbye. And Kobe Bryant, that just, you know, when I heard Jota's news on Alan Brazil broke it, actually. Alan Brazil, because I was listening to Talk Sport at the time, and Alan Brazil broke the news, and I thought, what? It was about 9:25, 9:30. I thought, God, Alan's got this one wrong, but sadly not. But yeah,
no, it's absolutely right. I mean, life does, you know, it's exceptionally cruel, and the Kobe Bryant thing, yeah, you're absolutely right to bring it up in terms of an outpouring, because you know these people, they do affect us. They do affect our lives, because as someone beautifully wrote on Reddit, I saw a post about, someone said, I won't remember the exact words, but words to the effect of, you know, it hurts so much because we open our hearts to these people. You know, we open up parts of our hearts and we, you know, allow ourselves to get behind them all and support them all. And you know, someone as wonderful as Diogo is, it's extremely difficult to deal with, and it will take a long time. Looking at the next goal, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's West Ham's away kit, still in this the start of his career, and it's a break, it's a transition, the old defense to attack, counter attack. Diogo Jota has the ball on the left wing. He's just sort of crossed the halfway line, and he's charging at the defender, and he's doing that thing that John Barnes once wrote in Shoot magazine circa 1989, when I was a kid trying to learn how to dribble, is that John Barnes always said that if you're trying to dribble against a defender one-on-one, you go straight towards him. Because if you go straight towards him or her, then you know that they don't know which way you're going to go, and you don't show them which way you're going to go. Exactly what Diogo Jota is doing. He's got the West Ham defender on the edge of the box, and he squared him up, and the defender, as he goes into the box, the defender's like, well, I've got to intervene now, but this ball is just glued to Diogo's foot, and he plays this lovely pass, a beautiful pass with his left foot across to Mane, who has this low, hard shot that the keeper can only parry. Mo Salah, excuse me. And then it was followed up by Mane, and then followed up by Diogo Jota. Very, very, very scrappy goal. But those are the kinds of goals, Douglas, that the top strikers, as the YouTube puts on a stupid ad, excuse me. We'll get rid of this ad if we can. But you know, those are the kind of goals that the top strikers do, Douglas. You know, they scuff them in, and that's what Diogo had. He had all kinds of goals, but the scuffed ones are, you know, the ones that are really quite satisfying for the strikers, because they're in the right place at the right time.
He started that move off of you, if you all go back to it, he started the move from basically his own half, runs. I think it's Balbuena, the centre back, that's actually watching him, come into the box, and then you look at I think it's Cresswell, and then I think it's Ogbonna. They just can't deal with him. And the thing is, as well, this is the Jota that I knew at Wolves. He had a very good partnership with Raul Jimenez. He was scoring all those kind of goals. Jimenez was mainly the creator. Jota was obviously there to score. And it just goes to show that I'll say it again. For me, he's the best finisher we've had for a long time. I thought when he was in the squad, I thought he was our best finisher. You can take away obviously Salah goals, you can take away Firmino's goals, Mane goals. For me, he was the real fox in the box. And getting scruffy goals like that is a very natural finisher. And I think as well, in those sort of early days, we didn't really know where to play him. We didn't really know where to play him. Sort of, if it was like left wing, if it was striker. But I always had a feeling that wherever he played, he was the one thing you can say about Diogo Jota. He always gave his best for Liverpool Football Club. Always gave his best for Wolves. Always gave his best for FC Porto. Always gave his best for Atletico Madrid. His big move when he came to the Premier League was Wolves, and that really put his career up another level, because after that came to Wolves, he was absolutely fantastic. As I said, that partnership he had with Raul Jimenez was brilliant, and he loved the goal or two, especially against Arsenal, Man United, Everton, even Leicester City, scourge of Leicester City for both Wolves and Liverpool. He was just a natural finisher, and he is going to be so well missed in that squad. It's a huge hole to fill. I don't care what anybody says. It is a huge hole to fill. And I think the one thing as well I'd like to see the club do is definitely retire his jersey. I don't think we really retire jerseys, but I just think in this instance it just feels so perfect to probably retire that jersey.
I think they've already said that they're going to do that.
They've immortalised the jersey. I think that's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do is retire the number. I agree, it would be the right thing to do as well. But no, you mentioned Wolves there and his time there. I used to watch, a lot more of. I mean, I still watch a fair amount of football, Premier League football, but he was always a player I really loved at Wolves. And you have to remember that when he joined Wolves, he went from Atletico Madrid to Wolves. They were in the Championship. They're still part of the Jorge Mendes project, or if I got the name right, at Wolves. And they were in the Championship, and he helped get them up and then get them into Europe. He was absolutely well remembered.
He was part of that Portuguese contingent, wasn't he? Obviously, Rui Patricio, Nelson Semedo, Jeremy Coutinho, Ruben Neves. I mean, you could just go through that whole team, and it was probably half Portuguese. But I think you've got to say that Wolves side, when it came to the Premier League, was one of the really best teams to come into the Premier League. It was a really good team, really tough to beat. And it was really nice to see Nuno there yesterday, because I think Nuno, when he was at Wolves, he certainly was one of Jota's best managers. Then obviously had Klopp, and then obviously Arne Slot.
Yeah, totally. Let's look at the next goal. Nigel, look at this one. This is goal number 4, I believe.
This is the Atalanta hat-trick. I think it's the second goal in this game that I remember really well. It was a high ball, I think, over the top, and he took it down one touch and one bounce and hit it on the move before it dropped to the ground. And it was if it's the one I'm thinking of, this is a brilliant goal. The
Absolutely.
second one.
I mean, you're absolutely right. But let's just for the audio listener, because I want to do this chronologically.
That's a fantastic finish as well.
Yeah, the first one is a beautiful.
The little Kenny Dalglish dink over the goalkeeper.
Exactly. So it's a low ball coming in from the right hand side as well. I'm not sure who played it because we don't have that information here, but it's a low ball, perfectly weighted into the box, and Diogo needs all of his strength
Holds him off.
To hold off a defender who's about 60% bigger than he is.
That's the tenacity Dave was talking about earlier on.
Exactly. The keeper comes out to the edge of the 6-yard box to try and close down all of the angles, and Diogo, it's the timing of the little chip, the little dink finish that sort of, it's before the goalkeeper can really get set. He's already dinked over, and it's that thing that you just keep coming back to when you look at Diogo Jota goals. It's the fact that he's thinking way ahead of the defenders, and the second goal is exactly that. It's a long pass over the top of the defence. Diogo Jota brings it down with his left foot. He's sort of beyond the edge of the 6-yard box to the right-hand side as the goalkeeper's looking at it, or the left-hand side as the attacker.
He's behind the defender there. He's behind the guy's a yard in front of him there.
And so he takes one touch with his left foot, and just as 99% or 99.9% of all strikers in world football would have a shot to the far post with their right foot, no, not Jota. He has one beautiful touch with his left foot to sort of get the defender off balance, so the defender's taken a step too far. And with his right foot, again, it's low, it's hard, and it's not to the far post, it's to the near post. And that was a bit of his signature as well, wasn't it, Nigel?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, my God, we've got a player here. You know what I mean? We've seen him before, and he could finish playing for Wolves, but he's more than that. He's more than just a finisher. He's good. This boy's got absolutely everything. It's the complete package, like I said earlier on. You know, he can head a ball. His movement is good. His link-up play is good. His touch is excellent. His finishing is brilliant. You know, the thing that reminds me of looking at him is it's like Dalglish. It's not. The movement isn't similar, but the mannerisms are. Anybody that would have seen Kenny at any kind of regular thing, I know, and he watched them on the telly and stuff like that. But it's just the excellent basics that he has. Just then, like the lads said earlier on, the finishing. That was the thing. Exactly. That just topped off everything.
It's very well said. I mean, I'm not an expert on Kenny. He was before my time, really. But he, watching all the compilations and watching all the goals, there are definite similarities. Yeah, that's very fair, I think. Dave H, the hat-trick goal then against Atalanta was him again. It's that movement where he slows the defender down, he slows down himself, and then suddenly a burst. He bursts past the defender and gets onto a through ball, this time from the left-hand side. The goalkeeper comes flying out of his area, tries a sliding tackle, which just rebounds off Diogo's ankle. And now we've got a situation, Dave Henry, that the ball is awkwardly back spinning. He's had a deflection off the goalkeeper and off Diogo's ankle, and it's back spinning and it's chest height. And so what does he do? He just calms down. He stays calm. He's running into the box. The goalkeeper's absolutely nowhere. He's already on the ground. He's flown out. So he's got an open goal. But I've seen these missed, Dave H, because other players don't have this calmness that Jota has. He just simply lets the ball bounce, and with his left boot from a fairly acute angle, it has to be said, passes the ball in. And it's one of those things that any elite sportsman will do that make things look simple. But the most elite players, I think, of many sports are the ones who are the most relaxed. And he was very relaxed in his finishing there against Atalanta and throughout his career.
There was no panic. Never any panic on. That was a perfect example there, Owen, where the ball divoted up. There was backspin on it. It took a bobble, and as you said correctly as well, the acute angle. There's a lot of times we've seen that as football fans that they've been missed. Just to add to that as well, I think he's only one of 6 players to score a hat-trick in the Champions League and a hat-trick of assists in the Champions League. He got a hat-trick of assists for Mo against Rangers, I think, in 22. He was only on the pitch 8 minutes, and he got a hat-trick of assists for Mo. So it just goes to show, not just the finisher, but kind of the intelligence to kind of bring other players into the game as well. But that goal, the last goal, the third goal for his hat-trick against Atlanta was kind of a perfect synopsis of just how clinical and calm he was on the ball, and there's no fuss, there was no panic. You pretty much knew that, yeah, this is going to be a goal. So yeah, he was exceptionally good.
Yeah, totally, absolutely great answer. And the next goal, who is this against? Aston Villa, is it? It could be Douglas Luiz. Who's that? Leicester. Oh, there you go. So his first goal for Liverpool against Leicester. Well, the ball is on the left-hand side. A cross comes in, and Diogo Jota, again, it's textbook stuff. He's running across the central defender to get his head on that. So that's already his second headed goal for Liverpool. And again, it's with the intelligence and the ball coming in from the left-hand side. And I think what I was going to say before, like starting his career with no crowds in the stand, Dave Henry, to go back to you, it's almost like the adulation would have been there from the very start, because we've just collectively been through a period of lockdown, some absolutely, horrendous situation with the pandemic. And it was great to have football back, but we were sort of watching it at home. We couldn't really socialize. And it was great to have football back. Do you remember how you felt?
Very. Myself and NIgel, we used to watch a lot of games together and all that during lockdown. It was very good for one's sanity as well, just to have that connection with your mates, and because that's what it was. You were in complete lockdown. You couldn't really go anywhere or do anything. Football and sports in general is a great solace to help. But kind of going back to that as well, was it maybe better that when he did sign for us, that because he fitted in so well, that there was no crowds, that it might have eased and helped the transition to become a Liverpool player, because that shirt does hold a lot of weight on it. Who knows? But maybe that helped as well. Helped with no crowds there, and he could just kind of get into his own rhythm very easily.
Yeah, maybe, absolutely. That could be the case. Absolutely. And you can see his celebration in this one was he made the letter A with his finger, some kind of family thing going on there, which is great. And the amount of celebrations, Dave, from Dave's LFC chats, the celebrations are, of course, there's an iconic one with him sitting down playing the PlayStation, and he loved playing FIFA. He was a gamer as well. But there were so many celebrations. I actually found a great thread on Reddit about all the different celebrations that he had. I can show you a few. And of course, he had the PlayStation one, but he had one where he was like being a shark, and one where he was being like some kind of walking bear, and one where he was, he making all these different letters. He held up Luis Diaz's shirt. Of course, when Luis Diaz had that terrible, family problem, he was giving it loads to the Leicester fans who were annoying him that time. Dave, it was brilliant. He knew how to celebrate goals.
He did, and that's what made him even more special, to be honest. He enjoyed it, didn't he? He was like a kid where we'd kick a ball around in the park type of thing, and he'd be running around and scoring goals. That's what I mean. That's how natural he was. As you said, I think his home was on the pitch, basically. You know what I mean? He loved on the field. And I think Dave Henry was saying earlier about, the fact that no crowds and stuff. I think he loved the crowds. I think he absolutely loved the crowds. I mean, who wouldn't love the crowds when you score a goal and you have 60,000, or at the time it would have been 60,000 at Anfield, but you know what I mean? And doing that thing where I think that was the baby shark. He was probably doing it because he only had his first baby probably around then. I'm not sure, the baby shark thing and stuff. The gamer one is obviously the big one now. Everyone's copying all over the world. That's the one where he sits down because he's playing a game. And I think he was a gaming champion or some sort of FIFA EA Sports gaming champion. I think he was really, really good.
He was in the top, I think the top 3 in the world, maybe even higher on FIFA, which is incredible. Yeah, considering
I'd say Slot and Klopp didn't. I say Slot and Klopp didn't like that fact that he's looking at screens all the time. Probably wondering. But he also liked darts. He liked snooker, and he liked horse racing, which is probably, a lot of people might say it's unusual for a Portuguese lad, but I mean, he was actually one of the lads, wasn't he? He was more probably almost British type lifestyle of liking sports than Portuguese. But I have to go in a few minutes, but I would like to say one or two things just before I go. As well, and leave it on this. But I mean, Liverpool as a club, we've had our fair share of tragedies over the years, to be fair, a lot more than most teams, probably the most. In fact, when you go back as far in the 80s as Heysel, and then we had Hillsborough, of course, 97 souls lost, and then we even had Shog Cox getting the Roma game, the Champions League. We had the parade only a few months ago, and we were there ourselves, myself, Doug, I don't know if Nigel was there. I was only about 100, 200 yards away from Water Street with the accident. I mean, that was a miracle. Nobody was killed in that, to be honest with you. And of course, now Jota and his brother. I mean, we've had tragedies, but we have always got over them as a club. We've always come together as a club. We've always united as a club, and we will unite and get stronger through this tragedy as a club. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And I'm sure Jota, as family, would like Liverpool to do the same thing as a team and as a club and as fan base and stuff like that. But it won't be easy. It's going to be tough. They're already meant to be back in pre-season, but I know they'll be back on Wednesday, I think, or Thursday, the senior players. But it's not going to be easy coming through those doors of the extra training ground for the first few days, especially. I know Salah really is not looking forward. I don't know whether you've seen his post, but he's actually almost scared to come back to Liverpool to see what the reaction's going to be like and stuff like that, when they see where Jota used to sit with the number 20, you know, in the extra training when they do training. And in sport and in life, you know, I've had a few friends that died early, teenagers and in early 20s over the years, and it is different when someone dies young at their peak and stuff like that. But I just think Liverpool as a club will do the right thing. They will absolutely do the right thing. And whatever they do, I say will be the right thing. And I know they have something planned for the Charity Shield game at Wembley against Palace. And of course, the Bournemouth game at Anfield. Fourth game at Anfield will be an emotional day. I'm absolutely sure of that. But the club will get stronger. There is absolutely no doubt about it. And look, I'm going to leave it there. Love to Jota and Andre's family, of course, in Portugal, the fan base, the club, staff, anybody affected by it. But guys, the club will get stronger. You'll never walk alone. Cheers.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate that. And those are beautiful words. I totally agree. You know, yeah, all the best to you, Dave. And thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry for, you know, for Dave's loss of losing people. I think it's affected me and lots of other people. Losing people young, it does happen, and it's it's tragic. And you deal with it, and you speak with the people who are also affected by it. That does tend to help a lot of people, and yeah, that's why we're going to stick together. Dave is absolutely right. We're going to stick together. We're going to get through this together. And yeah, the next goal, Diogo, in this Diogo Jota compilation, is Mo Salah getting the ball at the edge of the penalty area, but not in Mo Salah's usual right wing position. He's sort of centre left, a sort of inside left forward position. And there's a little deft touch to Diogo Jota, and this is something that really sums up Diogo for me as a player, is that Diogo's facing Alisson Becker, facing our own goal on the edge of the box. He's already found 2 meters of space when the other team is supposed to be parking the bus. Like, God knows how he found that space. But he's there with his back to goal. And Mo Salah plays this little deft touch. It's like a 2 meter pass to him. And his first touch, it's like he already knows what he's going to do. His first touch is to turn towards the goal on the edge of the penalty area, take another touch, feign to shoot, which takes 2 defenders out of the game, takes another tiny touch to make sure he's got enough space to get his shot away. When he gets his shot away, it's with a tiny amount of backspin. And this is the first time we see what, for me, is the iconic Jota goal. This is the iconic Jota goal for me. This is classic Diogo. because he's flummoxed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenders. By the time the ball's in the back of the net, 3 of them are on the floor. The goalkeeper's on the floor trying to save a shot that's already in the back of the net. It's just an iconic goal. And we talked about comparisons with other people, great finishers, Kenny Dalglish. There's a touch of Robbie Fowler about some of his finishes, but this one is the Jota goal, that shimmy and strike, and just everybody just so confused. It's a beautiful, beautiful goal, and that's, for me, is iconic. What do you reckon, Fay?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like you said, I know Dave said that he likes to score a lot of goals with his head, but his finishing with his both feet were absolutely sublime. And I think a lot of players in Brazil and Portugal and places like that, they play futsal. I don't know if you guys have played futsal, but it's a very heavy, small ball, and you have to move that around very quickly for it to rotate and move about and do all the things that you need them to do. And I think someone like Jota would have played a lot of futsal when he was younger, because remember, he was kind of like a late starter, really, to the, the high pro leagues. And I think that's why he's got that hunger, like Jamie Vardy, players like that come into the game a little bit later, and I'm talking about in the big leagues, because even though he was at Atletico Madrid, he didn't really do a lot there because he went to Porto, didn't he? And then from Porto, they loaned him to Wolves, and then from Wolves, he went to Liverpool. So he's been hungry for what? Because he's only 28, and he was like, he only went to Atletico Madrid, Porto, when he was 7 years prior to that. So he was hungry and ready to come and play football, and grateful that he's playing in the highest league in the world, yeah, and with the best players. And it showed, there's certain players that they've just got this hunger for the game, and like you said, they know what they're going to do. He's already in his head, he knows once that ball comes, I'm going to fake this way, or I'm going to do a stutter step, or they know what they're going to do, those sort of players. And out of the 47 goals he scored for Liverpool, they were all wonderful goals. No goal was the same, whether it was him jumping with a header, timed well, taking on 3 or 4 players sometimes, scoring goals outside the box. He could score a goal anyway. And like I said earlier, I think he was really underrated, actually. And it's only now that we're analysing it and thinking, wow, because I always used to say to my mates, cool, I'm really glad we got Jota on the bench, because he's a great player to come off the bench. But because that's where we saw him mostly, coming off the bench rather than starting. I think that the games that he started, he came off 7 times for them. So he wasn't a starter, really. If you look at the 47 games, it wasn't the goals that he scored. He didn't start in them. He came off and then scored. So, yeah, I just think he was a very underrated player. And now we'll never know, will we? Sadly, yeah.
Well, I think he's left this record of his brilliance for us to say, if we didn't realize it already, like, hang on, look at this, look how brilliant this guy is. And we can celebrate it. And there's something about how he will be immortalized at 28, always remembered at the peak of his powers. And, we've seen the peak of him at Liverpool, even off the bench. But I just think, I think it's great that we can do this, and we can talk about we can look back in minute detail at each of his goals and celebrate his talent, because it is absolutely extraordinary.
And I think the person that will be feeling most aggrieved will be Arne Slot. He'll be thinking, bloomin' hell, I didn't get the opportunity really to unleash this player. Do you know what I mean?
It would have been a huge season for him this season. Absolutely. With
Yeah.
Florian Wirtz signed to be
Yeah.
able to put things on a plate for him, and
Absolutely.
yeah, it's certainly regrettable. Yeah, absolutely. Or more than regrettable, but yes, it's very sad that we won't see that. We always get to wonder what could have been. Absolutely. Douglas, you can see the next goal with me. It's a 1-2, a superb 1-2, lightning 1-2 between Mane and Salah. This is against Wolves, I believe. It certainly looks like Wolves to me. And so it's 1-2 as Sadio Mane is sort of in the false 9 position, Salah in his usual inside right forward position. They play a 1-2. Sadio gets it back. He's very central. It's an awkward ball, but such is the nature of the 1-2 and the return pass from Mo Salah. But Sadio Mane cushions it absolutely beautifully with Sadio's left foot into the path of Diogo Jota, who's got his eye on the ball all the time. And again, Douglas, 99% of strikers would go to the far post. Diogo sort of fakes to go to the far post and hits it at the near post, catches the keeper out and scores. Makes it look easy, Douglas, again.
A natural finisher again. I think you've got to, we look at all the goals he scores, and I think one of the things, he is in the right position at the right time. And was always, most of his goals were always sort of cutting in from the left. It was just really, really good forward play. And he knew where the back of the net was. I mean, you look at that goal against Wolves that we've just obviously seen on the screen. Yes, the goalkeeper probably should have done better, because goalkeepers union, you shouldn't get beat at your near post. But Jota knows where the back of the net is. And it's a cracking wee finish, because he has to take it so quickly, because I can't remember the defender. I think it was maybe Craig Dawson or someone, maybe Nathan Collins, because obviously he was at Wolves as well. But it's just that instinct of getting that strike off very, very quickly, and it really is a pain for goalkeepers when the ball is struck like that. So yeah, just goes to show the natural finisher that Jota was.
Yeah, brilliant answer. Yeah, exactly. And the speed of finish, you're absolutely right. Doing things that catching the goalkeeper out, because the goalkeeper would have saved it had it been an ordinary shot to the near post, but it was extraordinary. Absolutely. The next goal.
Goal of the game, actually, Owen, that last one in the Wolves game. It was the only goal of the game.
It was the only goal of the game. Yeah, fantastic. Good. Yeah, it's good to remember the context. I lose all the with my poor memory. I lose all the context of what state the game was in at that particular time. But there you go. The next goal is against Arsenal, because he scored 7 goals against Arsenal. And NIgel, it's a ball to the back post.
Is this the header? The flying header? Yeah, this is a great goal for a guy who's not big. It's so important. I scored a few goals in my head as well. I'm only 5'7", and I scored a few with my head. But it's so important that you can get a run on defenders. It's about timing and your jump, and it's very, very important. You watch him coming from the back from the defender doesn't see him, and that's for smaller players. It's a big key. The defender in front of him doesn't see him. The defenders behind him has lost him, and the defender in front of him can't see him. If you watch him again, when the ball comes over, one guy standing still, actually both standing still, and he comes between the middle of the two, and the guy behind him is too far behind him, and the guy in front of him, like I said, doesn't see him. Look.
Yeah, the right back is too far away.
Straight in the middle of the two, and the cross is really good. But because his timing and his leap is so good, and the power he puts on the header, the keeper has no chance. It's a very intelligent player who can read a situation like that. It's not easy. And the top class players have that.
The timing has to be perfect. Absolutely, Douglas.
If you just go back to that Arsenal goal there, you'll notice who the defender is. It's Rob Holding. Now, this was obviously when Arsenal were at a bit of a bad stage of having really bad defenders. But yeah, that basically, if you look at that,
were they second, Doug? Were they in second place?
Yeah, second again for Arsenal. Yeah, okay.
No, funnily enough, I don't think they were second that season. But it's quite funny who's actually in that picture. So Rob Holden is the one to the right of Jota, and then to the left of Jota, Nacho Monreal. Now, Nacho Monreal was a left back, so the fact that Nacho Monreal is in the worst position possible, it just makes this goal even better. And I mean, the cross is fantastic, but the finish is just Jota quality. And there's nothing Bertolino can do in that Arsenal goal. It's just a fabulous header. And I still say to this day, he is one of the best finishers I've seen with his head. For a very, very small man, 5'10", you wouldn't have thought that he would get on the end of so many crosses, but that's just a mark of the striker that Jota was.
Absolutely. And what we'll do, we're actually only 2 minutes 50 into a 20-minute video because there's so much to talk about with his goals, and there's so much to talk about our admiration for the man that, you know, we're not going to have time. So I think we might leave it here for the goals. The last one, we'll just do this last one, and I'll come to you, Dave Henry, on this. The ball comes, it's again against Arsenal. The ball comes to the edge of the box, and Mo Salah in his inside right position on his left boot. Gabriel is blocking the angle for the shot. There's an overlapping run that Gabriel's also trying to keep an eye on. So Mo Salah's got the time to play a pass inside to Sadio Mane, who turns Rob Holding, and it comes to Diogo Jota, who is screaming onto the ball, leaving Nacho Monreal for dead, and he absolutely whacks it into the goal ahead of Mane, who may have got there as well. But it was just again perfect timing. And yeah, but I'd like to continue this another day, because then we get to his first goal, I think, against Manchester United. But for now, we'll leave it here. Dave Henry, the timing and the runs and the intelligence, we've seen everything. It's just we've only seen the first sort of 10 goals of his Liverpool career or so, and there's everything there. Everything
there is, and I think that goal, the second goal against Arsenal, did that not go to VAR?
I mean, they all probably went to VAR.
Probably did, yeah. But
chalk them off.
Yeah, that was 3-0 against Arsenal. He had a cracking game that day. But before you moved on from that on, he wasn't even in the shot when Salah had the ball. You know, to make that intelligent run, then even though kind of bypassing Mane, you'd expect maybe Mane to finish that, but he was just, again, I know we'll probably repeat ourselves a lot during the course of these goal videos, he was just in the right place at the right time, and that just natural sheer intelligence and that instinct to be in the right place, because he wasn't the quickest, you know, but that's no problem. He had probably 2-3 yards in his head quicker than a lot of other defenders, and that gave him the space that he needed. But that was a great finish. You know, the keeper was coming out. I don't know what defender was on him there, sorry. But, you know, to finish like that, just to dink it over again, you know, it was just a phenomenal footballer, yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, well, I mean, thank you, everybody, for joining me on this look back at, well, I mean, the beginnings of looking back, because we've got a lot more to look back on, and we've got to give ourselves time to process all of this. But I hope that in some way, for the listener, there's something that you can connect with here in terms of celebrating his life as much as we can in this desperately sad time. But thank you very much. Thank you very much to Douglas and to Nigel and to Dave from Dave's LFC Chats, who left, and Dave Henry as well for making his debut here. And to Fay as well. Thank you so much. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you.
All right. I don't know if anybody has anything to add. But yeah, Douglas.
I'll just add. I have a wee tribute to Diogo Jota on my Totally Premier League podcast on Spotify. I did a wee tribute last night. So if anyone wants to go over and listen to that, it's 12 minutes long, but it's definitely said from the heart, and it took about 4 or 5 goes to get that right, because I kept I was in a blubbering mess. Let's just say I just didn't know what to say or what to actually express. So yeah, please go and have a wee listen to that. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I've listened to it. Yeah, it's a very beautiful thing, Douglas. And there are lots of great tributes and things like that out there. But yeah, absolutely do check that out on the Totally Premier League podcast feed. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you soon. And really, really mean it. You'll never walk alone, whoever you are. If you're struggling with this, get in touch, koponpodcast@gmail.com. We've got a WhatsApp group where we're all trying to help each other through this, and we'll keep going. And as Dave said earlier, we will help each other through this. We will come through this and be even stronger. And I think that's what Diogo would have wanted. He wouldn't want us to be defeated by this, and we're not going to be. So yeah, you'll never walk alone. We'll speak to you soon.